It would seem like this would go without saying, but you should never pick a fight with God. It's easy to see the foolishness in it when it isn't you, that is, that's involved. That's what Eve was doing in Genesis 3. God warned Cain in Genesis 4, and we go to the New Testament, and it hadn't changed. We read this in Acts chapter 5 and verse 39. If it is of God, you will not be able to overthrow them, or else you may even be found fighting against God. Gamaliel gave some very wise advice, didn't he? The next verse says, and they took his advice, and after calling the apostles in, they flogged them and ordered them to speak no more in the name of Jesus, and then released them. That's in verse 40. Well, we've already established in this series that everyone knew David was going to be God's anointed king. However, we read this in 2 Samuel 2, verses 8 through 10. But Abner, the son of Ner, commander of Saul's army, had taken Ishbosheth, the son of Saul, and brought him over to Mahanaim. And he made him king over Gilead, over the Asherites, over Jezreel, over Ephraim, and over Benjamin, even over all Israel. Ishbosheth, Saul's son, was 40 years old when he became king over Israel, and he was king for 2 years. The house of Judah, however, followed David. For 2 years, there was fighting over this when everyone knew David was God's intended king. Why? Because people like to fight against God and try to get what they want. We'll do it with moral choices in our lives and the people we prefer to associate with and the religious doctrines we want to teach and defend. It all becomes a matter of getting what we want. If you know how this story ends, it actually becomes a case of getting more than we bargained for. Let's be careful not to be found fighting against God.